Guys, you're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and I'm quite excited because we're finally to the part of the book. We're decoding and understanding Crowley's Thoth Tarot. Okay, so that's what this whole series has been about, and we're almost to the part where we're like learning about the actual cards, right? So in this video, it is frequently asked questions. And I've got two books that I'll be reading out of, and I've got this book, which is the main book this series is reading the whole way through, okay? And then I've also got frequently asked questions in this book, Instant Tarot. I got to help me kind of understand right at the beginning. It did not help me understand, but that is because I didn't read all of it, and I got frustrated with the Thoth Tarot because it wasn't exactly like the Rider-Waite. So again, that's why I'm making these series of videos, is to help us understand. So there may be two different videos because there's a lot of questions. There may be a video on this book next. So first we're going to be reading out of the handbook of the cards for the Crowley Thoth Tarot, okay? So frequently asked questions, woohoo! Number one, what can you ask the cards, okay? The cards can be questioned in regard to anything. There is one thing, however, they cannot do. They cannot answer with a yes or a no. Yet they can very well help in making a decision shown by the consequences, without taking the decision out of the hands of the person asking the question. Additionally, they can be asked about tendencies, also giving information on current situations, including their hidden background and causes. The cards can also make suggestions for the proper course of action, as well as being a valuable mirror for determining one's own position in questions regarding self-awareness. And if you think about it, that's better than a yes or no answer. A yes or no answer is simple, but this will tell you a story, okay? Alright. How is it that the cards can give us a meaningful answer? Like, how does it happen? A lot of people want to understand that. This phenomenon, and that's what it is, it's not able to be explained. How do you explain, it would take days or months to explain spirit guides, intuition, things like that. I guess you could explain it simply, but really it's a phenomenon. Can certainly not be adequately explained. However, the following two considerations may give you a notion as to the possible background. Number one, our unconscious has a different relationship to time and space than our consciousness, okay? Please remember that our unconscious lives on a different plane than our consciousness, okay? It is in the position of looking beyond the horizons of the present, as everyone has experienced in dreaming about the future and by forecasting what is about to happen. The language of consciousness is words, in contrast to the images that are the language of unconsciousness. The tarot cards are the alphabet of the metaphorical language of our soul. That's really beautiful. The tarot is the alphabet. The tarot cards are the alphabet of the metaphorical language of our soul. With them, our unconsciousness can express how it sees the matter in question. Okay, so you're basically, the answer's within you, and you just need to find it. You just need to find the words to have it come out appropriately. The only thing that our consciousness must do to learn to understand the metaphorical language of unconsciousness. So we must figure out that. We must figure out how to do that. Number two, the second consideration underlies the concept of synchronicity, as C.G. Jung, J-U-N-G, has termed this phenomenon. I love C.G. Jung. Please look into this philosopher. We are used, he goes a lot into 46 and 2. Just 46 and 2 is just ahead of me. I hope. We are used to measuring time in terms of quantity. There is, however, also a quantity of time that our language acknowledges very well in the expression of the right moment. It is less the conscious consideration that leads us to the right moment. For in this point, our inner clock, or the inner voice, is much more reliable. And that makes sense. In the right moment, we have more confidence. In the right moment, we feel this is the time. And don't ignore those feelings, those strong feelings of affirmation are really great, and you need to appreciate those within yourself. Because I don't hear them all the time, but when they do come, I'm like, shoot, I need to act on this. Every moment has its special quality characteristics that reveal themselves on all levels in the same manner. Macrocosmetic in the planetary constellations. Macro means big, micro means small. So the giant cosmic. The planetary consciousness, microcosmic in the movements of the atoms, and an infinity of other levels in between. The astrologer can observe the stars, the Chinese can throw the I Ching, the Roman augur can interpret the flight of the birds, the person familiar with the tarot can read the cards, or the Celtic druid can ask the runic oracle. I would love to try runes. All of the oracles will give the same message at the same moment in their own language. The moment in which we present the oracle with our question already contains the proper answer to it and gives it to us on all levels. This is why the question of which oracle we ask or which tarot cards we use is of secondary importance. Above all, it is important that the interpreter understands and speaks the language of the oracle. All right, next question. Is there a secret, true, final, and objective meaning for the cards? No. There are only subjective interpretations. How you can acquire a valuable message despite this is explained in the next paragraph. How can it be that the asker draws the right card without knowing what they mean or what the card system the interpreter will use? Okay. So the asker is the person who's sitting with you, okay? You're the tarot card reader, and the person next to you is the asker. That's the person who says the question, okay? So how do we know that the asker is asking it right without knowing anything about the laying system that I will be using? The basic rule is the asker always plays the game of the interpreter. While laying the cards, there is a unity between the interpreter and the asker on the unconscious level, so that the person asking the question draws the right cards for the respective interpreter. Okay. When you sit with two people in a room, whether next to each other, especially if it's just the two of you, whether you know it or not, you guys are connecting and bonding on levels that are so intimate. Think of this. Your cells, your breath, your breathing, your body, your oxygen, it's going into them. Like, you're sharing air, it's going into you, coming out of you, and back into them. To me, that connects people. I really believe that. You're also sharing the energy that's surrounding you. You're sharing the heat in the room, or the cold in the room. You're sharing the light in the room. There's a lot of intimacy just by sitting next to somebody. So if you think that your souls aren't connecting on an unconscious level just by being together, you're wrong. And even if you've got the two least spiritual people in the world on that unconscious level, their souls are hanging out, but their minds are like, could not like each other. The basic rule, okay. While laying the cards, there is a unity between the interpreter and the asker on an unconscious level, so that the person asking the question draws the right cards for the respective interpreter. In this regard, it also makes no sense to have the interpretation appraised by another person with their knowledge of the cards, since the asker would have to have drawn the cards for this person's insight. Absolutely. It would have to be, if you wanted a second opinion by a different tarot reader, it would have to be a whole new draw. The reader that's drawing the cards and interpreting that's their deck. Honestly, I don't even let my clients touch my cards. I let my family touch them if they want to, but like, they're mine to touch, and I don't like any other, especially physical energies being, nope. And that's just me, and every reader's got a different way of doing it, but for me, they're private. That's like asking to touch below my underwear. Like, I don't, that's how important my tarot cards are to me, that I'm the only one who touches them. Should you concentrate on the question while shuffling, picking, drawing, or laying out the cards? No, definitely not. Let yourself be guided by the consideration that your unconscious is already familiar with what it will respond to and what you want to ask. It is only a matter of letting your conscious mind know what the question is. Be clear at the beginning as to what it is you want to ask in order to correctly understand the answer afterwards. While you mix, draw, and lay the cards, it could be that you have almost forgotten what the question was, which is why it is better to write down the question. That's what I suggested earlier too. Write down the question, because that's something I would totally do. Because my mind, I just have so much flying around in there at all times. Oh no, I lost a bookmark. Okay. Write down the question. Yes. How do you know which of the many meanings of a card are correct in the individual case? And many meanings, meaning, let's look at the Fool card. How do we know what applies to us out of those 4 pages? Okay. From your most... okay, I'm going to reread the question just so we can get a really good feel on that. How do you know which of the many meanings of the cards are correct to each individual case? From your innermost self. You should not be surprised if you are, as an interpreter, suddenly emphasize a previously neglected aspect or discover a whole new side of the card. Instead, be rather skeptical if you continually recite the name of the set interpretation. However, if it happens that you are at some point stuck without a clue, the cards themselves can also help you further. Ask about the special meaning of a card by laying the cross, see page 204, and the cross is an actual layout of the tarot, okay? A spread, if you will. If you lay the cards on the same topic, twice in a row, will the same cards reappear again? Probably not. Often enough, however, very similar cards appear so that the total statement of the synopsis is for the most part identical. The cards can also indicate for additional yet secondary aspect of the matter of a question. So if there may have been 2 options, if you do another lay for the same exact question, it could be another outcome that could happen. Okay? If laying the cards twice in a row is based on a curiosity to test how the cards really work, they usually do not. Oh, so if you're just doing that as a test, the cards aren't going to make it work. You would really have to have that, like, this is the question that you're asking, this is true in your soul. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you can just play with these to see if literal magic is going to happen. I shuffled them and they came out in the same exact order. You guys, magic isn't like that, you know? It's not Hollywood. it's a lot more real, okay? Alright, so this is less a matter of them getting back at us for illicit curiosity, but rather of the inner attitude of the asker and the interpreter. Only where the consciousness and the unconsciousness are in harmony can a phenomena such as four-sided card laying occur. If, to the contrary, our consciousness doubtfully resists our intuitive level, the harmony is destroyed and the quality of the message given to the cards is often reduced to worthlessness. I have to say, too, meditation will really aid in your divination of any kind, tarot readings, your intuition, connecting with spirit guides, ancestors, things like this. Meditation will help all of these things. So after this series is done, and it's probably going to take me 2 months to get through this at least. After this series is done, I will be doing meditation videos on how to exactly do it, and I'll be doing demos and stuff like that. Here's the thing. I even have a book on meditations on the tarot where you do a one-card draw. This is so, like, meditation is awesome, y'all. And if you don't know Paramahansa Yogananda, the man who wrote Autobiography of a Yogi, wow, that book is life-changing for a lot of this. I just met a new person who loves that book as well. We're at 16 minutes, so we're definitely going to be into, well, probably definitely going to be, 2 videos. Yeah, because that other Rider-Waite has got some good questions in it, but just remember, this one is out of the Thoth book, the questions we're reading in this video. Okay, where are we at? Excuse me. That's the last question we talked about. Oh, right. For which period of time are the cards valid? For which periods of time can you ask the cards? For the time period of the next 3 months. What? This does not mean that they do not lose their significance afterwards. Are you guys confused at this question and the answers? However, they become less understandable, so that the value of the message for... Oh, like, the reading can be valid for 3 months. I gotcha. So it's like, this answer could still resonate for 3 months. I believe is what this is saying. However, they become less understandable, so that the value of the messages for the questions that go beyond 12 months of time is usually uncertain. The average time period to which the cards relate is 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, wow. So if you ask a question, it's talking about something in the next 4 to 6 weeks generally. Okay. Exceptions to this are all the self-awareness games for which there are no rules. If the question is in regard to a tendency in development of a specific topic, this naturally does not mean that the topic will be completed at the end of the time period. This card is to be understood as an inscription over a gate through which the asker goes, characterizing the further path. How reliable is the card oracle? As reliable as the advice of the old wise man. The cards undoubtedly have the highest score in statements relating to the past and the present, since these events and experiences are already fixed or happening now. Predictions for the future come to pass in a lesser degree, because none of it's happened yet. Yet still with a considerable probability, whether the reliability of the event in question decreases with increasing temporal distance. Wow, that was a lot of words in one sentence. This decreased reliability in prognosis is explained by the freedom that we have to shape our lives. This is also the reason why predictions for people with a high degree of consciousness about life come true with less regularity than for people who have given themselves over to their fate. The cards, like all other oracles, point out experiences that we must have. Now, do you hear this? They point out experiences that we must have. Have you ever felt to yourself, why can't I get past this point in my life? Why can't I get past this anger or this issue or this job or this whatever? There are things in life that we have to experience, and if we don't experience them, they're just going to keep happening, and that's kind of how I feel about that statement. Predictions for the future come to pass at a lesser degree, yet with a considerable probability, whereas the reality of an event in question decreases the increasing temporal distance. The decreased reliability of prognosis is explained from the freedom we have to shape our lives. This is also the reason why predictions for people with a higher degree of consciousness about life come true with less regularity than for people who have given themselves over to their fate. The cards, like all other oracles, point out experiences that we must have. In this respect, their statements are very reliable. On the other hand, now we have these experiences, and with which events relate to them are part of our human freedom. Next question. Is there a limit to a possible message, and therefore things that a card reader cannot or should not predict? Yes. In contradiction to common expectations, a card reader is not a fortune teller. He or she is a translator who speaks the language of images and who, similar to the interpreter of dreams, meditates in a dialogue between the person asking the question and his or her unconscious. The limit to probable messages lies in the metaphorical description of future experience. The meaning of the message is to be found in achieving a deeper understanding in the greater context of this experience. From worthless to questionable are messages that go beyond and announce a seemingly inescapable event. Next question. Could it be that the asker becomes very much manipulated by the cards or other oracles, or does he or she happen to have a negative experience only because it was predicted to occur? Let's just read this again. Could it be that the asker becomes very much manipulated by the card? So, okay. It's saying when you get a reading, is the reason the result happens because they had the reading and now they've manifested that because they knew it was going to happen? Like, if a tarot reader said, you're going to have a blue car this week, and by the end of the week you sure do have a blue car, is that because you had planned for it because you got the reading, or is it because it was already in the cards? It's in the cards for me. You guys know that phrase? Oh, it's in the cards, is it? Witchcraft. Wicca, witchcraft, paganism. Oh boy, lovely words. Alright, here's the answer. According to our experience, the person asking the question only accepts the answer that he or she is inwardly prepared to accept. And that's why it's so hard to read for yourself. Because of you're worried about yourself, your ego, the things you personally have to deal with. I like to have readings done for me. I practice on myself, but I would much rather practice on someone I know. Or even especially people I don't know. If you guys would be willing to let me practice on you via Skype once all of this series is over, I would be very excited to do that. So give me your name and in the comments, and I'll subscribe back to your channel. And then we can get together on Skype and we can do some readings together. I think that would be super fun. Before I start charging for them, we can do them, and we can do them in practice, okay? So let's see. Inwardly prepared to accept. If it is found to be absurd or unacceptable, he or she rejects it or asks another oracle. Time and again, there are people who have seen fortune tellers apparently without any limits on the messages they give, who supposedly have prophesied unavoidable misfortune, terrible death or of close relatives, financial ruin followed by suicide, etc. Oh my lord. A discussion on how statements are arbitrary and unattainable then has little effect. It is only when the asker understands that he or she needs this prophecy, possibly to take a new look at his or her partner, the emotional pleasure is eased. This is in no way to justify that irresponsible fortune tellers make unfounded, terrible, and simultaneously worthless statements. It should only be clear that here, as in any other counseling or therapy, the asker receives exactly that message or experience necessary for his or her situation. Okay, next question. What is then the meaning of the oracle? What is the meaning of the oracle? It is certainly not to be found in the prediction of the secular events of everyday life. What makes the tarot, as well as astrology and the I Ching, so valuable is the deep understanding of our timetable of tasks and the nature of our being, to which every one of these oracles leads us. Next question. Should the cards even be asked questions about everyday life? Yes! However, it would be a shame to just leave it at the level however, it would be a shame to just leave it at that level and not recognize the true enrichment of the deeper levels. Next question. In choosing the cards, should left-handers also draw with their left hand? Yes. Next question. Can you lay out the cards for someone who is not present? Yes, you can. And a lot of people do this. It is really good to have a piece of an item that they have worn, like a piece of jewelry or a necklace or something they're really close to. For me, when I do divination, I like to have an item of theirs to kind of hold on to. It helps for a lot of people. So it says, yes, you can if they're not present. The asker should naturally have a close connection to this person and a justifiable interest in the question. It is, however, detracting when the relationship between the person asking and the person in question is considerably disturbed, like if I was mad at somebody or had a grudge against someone. The cards then often reflect the wishes of the asker, but not as much as of the actual situation of the other person. In any case, you should carefully become acquainted with this form of the game in order to not wake up one morning and in a self-made ivory tower card house. That was a good one. I like that a lot. Okay, next question. Why are the cards drawn with the left hand? Because the left hand side of the body has been considered the intuitive side since ancient times. So if you want to ask spirit or talk to spirit guide or try and get something, you hold out this hand to receive. Left hand. Because the left side of the body has been considered the intuitive side since ancient times, this knowledge has been confirmed by the latest brain research. So not only has it been something intuitively based on since ancient times, or since ancient times we've been going with, but it's now proved by modern science, okay? Next question. Should you let your cards be drawn by someone else? Yes, you should if you have a great deal of inner tension. Again, you're not going to be able to read very well for yourself because you've got that, conflict of interest, basically. Yes, you should not have to deal with that great inner tension, expectations that are too fixed in connection with the question. Or even beside yourself. Exactly. Then it is definitely better to have the cards drawn, laid, or interpreted by someone else, someone you like. And that's important too. Don't have your cards done by somebody that you dislike. And they might love you, but if you're not connected to the person, then just find somebody else, yeah? And just tell them, just say, this is not feeling right for me, and it has nothing to do with you, just let them know. It has nothing to do with them. Okay. Should you first understand, next question. Should you first understand all the symbols of the tarot cards before you may interpret them? And by that I think they mean pentacles, discs, wands, cups, etc. No. On the one hand, it would hardly be possible to perceive all of the symbols on their complexity. And honestly, there's so much symbology on the back of the Thoth deck. There are animals, there are symbols, there are moons, and each card's so different. But, the art that Lady Frida Harris did and the work that was put into it is so in-depth. And you could watch an hour video on each card. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy cool. So, do you need to understand the symbols before you interpret? No. On the one hand, it would hardly be possible to perceive all of the symbols and their complexity. On the other, it is impossible to completely understand a symbol in all of its depth, and that's true. It continuously reveals new and previously unrecognized meanings. In this respect, it is totally appropriate to venture in the first card interpretations with a limited degree of knowledge about them. And that's what I've been saying in all of these videos. If you do some of your first readings, like now, while we're kind of doing this and before we've really gotten into the cards, two things are going to happen. You're going to be able to bond with the cards a lot better, and before you know anything about the cards, all those things, when you first look at it, the words that pop into your head, the way that it makes you feel, the story you think of, because the cards just in their picture tell a journey, and just in a single picture there's 10 journeys just in one single picture of the Thoth Tarot. So what I'm saying by this is that's another reason why I made these videos black and white, is because I want to simplify things. Let's just look at the pictures. Let's not even get caught up in the color yet, okay? Because they're so beautiful and colorful as well. Okay, so sorry I got in a closed eye rant there. It continuously reveals new, previously unrecognized meanings. In this respect, it's totally appropriate to venture the first card interpretations with a limited degree of knowledge about them. In doing so, it is only important to keep the limits of one's own wisdom constantly in sight, and not lose this modesty after the initial reports of success. This also applies to the more advanced interpreter. Now, we've done it! We're through the book, the video's over. Thanks for joining me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, in this Q&A and Decoding the Thoth Tarot. Bye-bye!